Okay, what I'd like to do today is review what we did this week, Cascading Style Sheets. Cascading Style Sheets are the newest and neatest thing in web design. They allow you to create a site, and then if you wanted to change the colors of the fonts, and you have like 100 pages, all you have to do is go to one spot and change the font and color, and it goes through all of them. It cascades down to the different pages. Here's an example, Zen Garden. This is one particular look of it. Here's a different look. All the words are the same. Everything's the same. It's just the fonts and the style that they wrote it in is different. Here's another look of it. Here's another look. Here's one more look. It's all the same. Only thing that's changed is the way the words are written, the background colors, the way certain things are highlighted. And that was done with just several little lines. So that's the beauty of learning this new thing called style sheets, and to make your site look really beautiful. Okay, so let's start off and see why you want to learn how to do style sheets. How is it better than before? Okay, so we started off and we did this question the first day we did this before. Okay, so before, if you wanted to have something in green and italic and in a certain font or whatever, you basically had to do this. Okay, and every place you needed to do that, you had to write it down. And if you can't remember how to do this, you went to fonts, and you press here, and you do that. Okay, now what if you've got like 1,000 places where you want to change the color to green and the font to whatever Arial? It was a real pain. Alright, so what Style Sheets did is they said, instead of having to always write down all those lines for every single time you want to use green on a font or whatever, let's just declare that in one section. So this is the style sheet method. What you do is, in the heading, you write down that to say, hey, I've got a style sheet coming, and then in there you squeeze together what's called a tag. So this one right here is the H3 tag, and these are the properties I wanted to change with it. So what I said in this H3 tag is I want to use that font, I want it to be italic, and I want it to be green. Okay? So every place you have an H3, it's going to follow that rule. So here it is. So you're saying, sir, that didn't really save much. Well, you had to write that, of course. But in here now, you don't have to write all that other junk that you used to. So now, if you need another H3, you go to this spot, you press here, you press an H3, and that'll be in green. Now what if you change your mind? You go, you know what, I don't like that. I want it to be red. Well, you would have had to gone before to every one of these and change it to red by hand. Now you don't do like anything like that. You go here to the one central area, you type in the word red, and they're all red. Now, in all your demos that I'm looking at, it's in the folder called the basics. If you kind of don't want to write this, I do have what's called a template, and if you press it, it makes sort of a blank page, and that's where you would put your stuff. Now, getting to your stuff, how do you put stuff there? I don't, tell you the truth, have it all memorized myself. So there are programs that you can use that help you create it without having to do much work. One of the programs that I showed you was called Top Style Light. This is a free program, and the way you use it is the following. You press this little green thing, and then you pick a tag. Okay, so let's pretend we wanted to use H2. Then you can go over here to the right hand side, or just press the space bar, and all these choices appear. And you can do all kinds of stuff. Just for fun, we're going to do background color this time. Okay, and then we'll pick kind of a yellow color. And then you see down here, it actually shows you what it's going to look like. So now, what do you do with this? Well, right now, in this first technique I've showed you, what you would do is grab all that, copy it, drop this down, and go in between there and paste it in. Now, if you preview that, you're not going to see anything, because that's just the style. Now what you got to do in the body of your program is do something that involves an H2. Now watch what this looks like when you preview it. It is now in that H2. If you don't like that, you change it to something else. Let's try green. Okay, and that's the basic idea. Now, as you start doing bigger and bigger projects, it's not nice to put your style sheet right in your page. What a lot of people do is they store it in an external file. So let me show you an example that does that. So you notice this one, there's no style sheet. What it says is the style sheet's right here. Okay, let's take a look at it. We'll load up the Top Style Light program, and we'll go to File, Open. Okay, and remember the style sheet, it's right there. Alright, so it's in a separate file and it's connecting to it. So if you look here, it's saying basically I'm linking the style sheet to that file. And again, you don't think you can remember how to type that in? Don't worry about it. When you do that kind of a style sheet, I've got a template for that too, and you double click on it and there it is. Now what this template's missing is the name that you saved your style sheet as. Alright, and what you would do in a program like Top Style Light is you'd go to File, Save As, you would give it a name in the same folder as all your other stuff. You know that, you should always know that. You always save your stuff from the same spot so that it knows where everything is, and that would be an external files. Okay? Here's another example of an external style sheet. Again, you only see this one line that points to that file. You know, there's a little preview. Okay, two different little things there. One was with an H1 tag and one was with a P tag, which is a paragraph. Here is the style sheet. So you can have as many things as you want. I mean, there's H1, that's just one thing. P for paragraph. You can get crazy with this and do tons of things. I'll just show you another one. I think it's in basic style. See this one? That has tons of things, right? You're changing the H's, the body, the paragraph. These are other things I'm going to teach you in a couple of days. This is a UL, which is like that, those little dots, those bullets. So you can do all kinds of neat things. Now, like we always do when we do this type of stuff, we're going to show you how to do it in Dreamweaver. So I'll pop up Dreamweaver because you probably want to do it with this way eventually. Now in Dreamweaver, what you do is first of all, hopefully you have these little things on the right hand side, and you got to click on the one that says CSS Styles. It's totally blank right now, right? So you go to that little plus sign and you press it, and then you press this down, and today what we're learning is tags. So we press tag and you can change whatever you want. Let's change an H1. Okay, and then you press, see how it says this document only? So you can do internal, or you can say make a new style sheet and you can make it external. Alright, so we'll say this document only first, and we'll pick, let's say we just want to change the font color, make it red, and maybe have the font Tahoma, whatever that is, and then we'll press OK. So what happened? Nothing right now. You want to go in the underground? There's the code the computer put in the underground. It's kind of cool. How is it actually going to work? Like I'm starting to type here, nothing's happening. Now what if at this spot I decide to take this and make it an H1? Now I got to go to text. I press H1. Whoa, the whole thing became red. Okay, so you activated the H value and the whole thing clicked in. You can also do it in the reverse. You can start off like that and now start typing, and it goes. So you can do it both ways. You can highlight it and it switches, or you can do it that way. What if you've already got an external style sheet and you want to bring it into here? Like you just made one and put it right in the program. Now you could make one and make it external, but what if you've already got one already laid out? How can you bring it into this one? Because you can mix and match. Well, see that little thing right there that looks like a chain link? You can press it, and now you got to go looking for something. So the basics has my style sheets, right? And then you can pick and choose whichever one you need. I'm going to click on My Styles, and then you press OK, and you're going to say, well, what happened? Well, first of all, let's look at the code. Alright, and what the computer did is it wrote that line for you, and now you got to sort of remember, like, what did I have in that style? Like, I can't even remember it. We can press down, and it looks like I had an H1 and a P, which means, again, if I press H1 and I start typing, it'll be in whatever the style is. This thing right here, it's already a paragraph, and I can type. And basically when you press enter, you're creating a paragraph, so it'll always be in that yellow background. The next day I posed this problem to you. I said, okay, now that we've learned how to do these style sheets and we can make H1s green and H2s red, what if sometimes our H1s, I don't want it to be red or green. I want it to be whatever I decide. Well, then you've got to do something else. And what that is called a class. And this is how you create a class. Use these little dots or bullets in front. And what you do is you don't really connect it to a tag or anything, but you just give it a name. And then wherever you want to use it, if you want your H3 one time to be red, you say, okay, class equals red. You want it to be green, you say class equals green. All right, and that's basically all you do. Now, in the top style light, what you would need to do if you wanted to do this is, first of all, let's close this and we'll start fresh. See this little tag selector? This time you don't actually pick anything from here. You make up a name. So you say something like dot red, and then you press OK. And then you pick whatever you want. And obviously, if you called it red, you're going to say color, and then you're going to pick red. Okay, so that's a class. We also did another one called an ID, which would have the number sign and then the name. They basically work the same way. Okay, and this is what this one would look like. All right, so you can use all kinds of neat things like that. Let me give you another example. Okay, here's another one that's kind of cool. And again, we use it with bullets. Usually you can't do that with a website. And there it is with different bullets. All right, show you one more. And this last one, I want to highlight a particular command. What if you make a class like we're doing right now, and this one was an external class, and you get to a spot where you don't connect it to, like these are tags, right? And then you said ID equals, and you can use that class stuff before. What if you get to a spot where you don't connect it to anything? Well, then there's like a generic word you can use called span. All right, and you can connect it to any class you want. And this one, I did two things at once. In this span, I made it the ID upper, which put it into uppercase, and blue, which made it into blue letters. Okay, so when you don't have a tag to connect it to, like an H1 or something, this is kind of a generic way to stick the class stuff in there. Okay, now you know there's got to be a way to do this with Dreamweaver, so here's how you do it. You press this button, and this time instead of picking tag, you pick class. And then you do whatever you want. This one I'm going to call green. And then you press OK, and your class is ready to go. And obviously if I picked it green, I'm going to make the green color, and then I'm going to press OK. Behind the scenes, here's what's happened with the dot green. Beautiful. Looks good. Now you start typing away. Okay, but how do you attach the class? Let's say I wanted this word to be in green. You can go in a couple places. If you look down here, there it is right there. And you pick green. Let's highlight example. You can right click on it and pick styles, green. And the other way is you highlight this word, you go over to the right, you right click on green, and you say apply. So there's lots of ways to do it. Okay, to finish my review of style sheets, let's finish it with a really crazy one. That's it. Looks fairly reasonable, but you'll notice a couple things when you go over that. Hey, that's kind of cool. The changes, and there's little wisps of white behind that person. So what exactly is going on? Well, first of all, let's start off with the very first one, body, background image. That's obviously the picture of that girl. But what's this background repeat? Well, let's try something. Let's, for now, rub this out and cut it out and preview it. Uh-oh. Tiles. That's terrible. Let's put it back in. So there is a way to have it not repeat by saying no repeat. You can also do some other stuff like have it repeat just along the top, although that looks kind of stupid. You can also have it repeat along the side going down. Alright, so there's all kinds of neat things you can do with that. Another thing I want to highlight is notice how these change when you go over it. Where is that? Well, if you look farther down here, there's a thing called A:hover, which means when you go over me, do something. So let me just change that to blue, for example. So basically what's going to happen when I go over this is going to change to blue. Alright, so there's all kinds of neat little features in here that we finished up with. And obviously you can get crazy with these things, and then of course you apply them down here, as you can see with the class. So there's all kinds of neat ideas and things you can do with Cascading Style Sheets, and that's just a little review to give you a good sense of what we covered this week with those topics.